Hi, everybody. This is Sarah with Lebanon Now, and I am here with Aleah Bench today. We are having another discussion today on mental health. This is going to be part of our Girl Power Initiative, which is sponsored by June and Beyond, Kim Breeden with Shelter Insurance, Tees, and Covell, who provided us with dirty sodas,
delicious,
and lemon macaroons today. So we thank you so much.
Yes. They're delicious too.
This is my first dirty soda, and I'm sold.
So good.
It's dangerous that they are 2 doors away from me.
I know. I'm glad that I don't have to drive by every day because I would be in trouble if I did.
It's torture.
Yeah.
So we are here today to have another mental health discussion. We want to make sure that women feel free to talk about their mental health struggles or the struggles that they have faced because of somebody else's mental health. Aleah reached out to me and had told me about how somebody in her family with mental health has affected her life. And I wanted her to come into the studio and tell us about it.
Yeah, so. I'm happy to be here. Mental health is something that I've been passionate about for most of my life. And I'm not just really loving to tell my story, but I love to advocate for mental health resources and just get the conversation going because I don't think we have big enough conversations about mental health. And so it's important to me, and I love any opportunity I can get to talk about it.
I agree. I really appreciate you being here today. I know it's a heavy subject. But it's okay to talk about. It's something that we have all experienced in one way or another, either ourselves or someone close to us.
Yeah, and I always tell people, you never know who in your life is experiencing mental health because most people don't talk about it. So I guarantee you know someone who struggles with mental health. You just don't know that they do, probably.
Yeah. Before we get started, I want to also just completely agree with what you just said. My first boyfriend when I was 12 and 13 years old, his name is Richard. Love you, Richard. He committed suicide a few years ago on his birthday. And it's not something that many of us saw coming.
Yeah.
So if I want people to know that there are people out there to reach out to, because I don't care what's going on in my life. I would much rather come immediately to you or pick up the phone or whatever you need before you take that final step that affects everybody. Absolutely.
And I think too, especially men, it's not something men talk about. It's looked down on a lot, or men think that it's looked down on.
Yeah.
And so I think especially with men, talk about it.
Yeah.
Find someone.
I'm hoping that as younger generations are growing, we're changing that stigma.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Okay. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your story.
So I grew up, my parents were divorced when I was 2, and my mom and my dad were very different people. My mom came from a childhood where she had a lot of just instability in her life. My grandmother was actually a professional country singer when my mom was a kid. And so she was spending her time doing that. She was on a radio show in Southern Missouri. And she just was not around a lot. And so my mom and her siblings were raised primarily by their grandparents. And so when my mom met my dad, he was this very vibrant, charismatic person, and she fell madly in love with him, and they started a relationship. And my dad's life was totally different. His dad was in the military, and my dad was actually born in Germany and spent a lot of his life in military life. So he had a very structured life that they lived. And they settled here whenever he was younger. And so his life was a little more stable. Even though they were in the military, they did not travel a lot with that. And so when they got together, my dad at that time, he was kind of a product of the 70s. Recreational drug use and all that kind of stuff. And it just actually became more habitual for him. And he fell into that habit of using more than just recreationally. And it wasn't long before some of the mental health things kind of came into play, and he started having, I think through his whole life, from what I have heard from other people, he's had moments in his life where he had threatened suicide or well, if you don't do this, then I'll just kill myself kind of thing. And he never really sought treatment for that. And he just continued to kind of self-medicate. And my parents divorced when I was 2 because he became physically abusive with my mom. And unfortunately, it was the 80s, and so women didn't have a whole lot of rights back then. And so my mom was court mandated to allow visitation, even though he had been physically abusive with her and had a history of drug use. And so we were still court ordered to go to his house. And we spent a lot of our childhood in very poor situations. We were present for drug deals. We knew that you don't hang your clothes in closets at Dad's house. You put them in dressers because there was weed growing in the closet under grow lights.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we knew, there was a box on the TV, under the TV, that you just don't touch. That's Dad's box. And by the time I was 7 or 8 years old, I had seen my dad do pretty much every kind of drug that you could possibly imagine. And I was 7 years old the first time that I accidentally overheard my dad threaten to kill us. It was a situation where we had been out. Something traumatic had happened that night. His girlfriend was also very much in that lifestyle of drugs and alcohol. And she drove across town. She was intoxicated, could not hardly walk, put us in the car and drove across town to where he was working. He was a bouncer at a bar. Mm-hmm. And she locked us in the car in the parking lot and went into the bar to drink or whatever until he got off work. Mm-hmm. And theoretically, we were fine because we were parked in front of the door. My dad was a bouncer at the door. He could see us. But still, he was working and we were children at a bar in the middle of the night,
Yeah.
And he threw someone out of the bar for fighting, and they continued fighting through the parking lot. And actually, one of the guys stabbed the other one against the window of the car that we were in.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And so that was the first time, I think, in my life that I really understood kind of what fear was. Like, I knew before that, I felt like I kind of knew there were things happening that weren't really kosher, I guess, at my dad's house. But I genuinely, in my mind, thought that it was an experience that every kid had. I didn't understand that what we were doing at his house was not normal.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I really felt fear. And that same night, he had taken some of his friends back to his house after he got off work, and we went to bed. I got up to use the restroom, and one of his friends said something along the lines of hoping that our mom didn't find out about what happened at the bar.
Yeah.
And he said something jokingly about, "You'll never see your kids again." And my dad made a comment and said if she tried to take us from him, he would kill us all. And
wow.
And like, to be 7 years old and to hear that and to think like the person who is supposed to be protecting me, my dad had never so much as raised his voice at me in my entire life. And so to be in that moment where I had never been afraid of my dad, and then to suddenly realize like he's this person who's supposed to be protecting me, and he's actually actively threatening to hurt me.
Well, and not saying it in a fit of rage or an angry voice, just saying it very calm and matter of fact.
Yeah. And so it was terrifying. And I never, until I was an adult, I never told anyone that I overheard my dad say that.
Wow.
Because in my brain, I understood at that point that if I told someone, they would probably take us from him and he would probably fulfill his threat.
Yeah.
And so I didn't tell anyone. I was terrified that somebody was going to find out anything that was happening at that point. And from then on, I really started to get a deep grasp of what fear was. And I understood every moment that we were with him, or even when we were not with him, the fear of someone finding out what lifestyle he was living and what we were a part of, mm-hmm. and us then being taken from him and then something happening. And it was just horrible. And, as an adult now, I look back and I sometimes think, like, I don't know how my mom didn't know what was going on, but then I also understand she didn't know. We weren't telling her. Mm-hmm. And the life that he was living after they were divorced was vastly different from the life he lived when they were together. Mm-hmm. And so she had no idea. And had my mom known, she would have done everything in her power to protect us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we just kind of continued through little moments like that. And it's so weird because sometimes my brother and I will talk about things that we experienced and we'll like laugh about it. And everyone around us is like, I don't think you're supposed to laugh about that.
I get that. I get that. And my sister and I do the same about our father. It's unfortunate, but I mean,
because I think you just get to a point where it's either laugh or cry.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And after 40 years, I'm used to it. So we laugh and don't realize that we're dysfunctional until we get around people that were raised very normal.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, insane. I'm kind of a weirdo.
I mean, I kind of know I'm a weirdo, but I don't think that I processed the amount of trauma that I experienced as a child. Because at the time, it didn't seem like trauma to me.
Yeah.
It seemed normal.
Yeah.
And looking back as an adult, I'm like, oh, yeah, that was not normal. And I do actually have a lot of lasting effects from what we went through. But I still sometimes am almost disconnected from it and don't realize like how real it was, you know?
But thank God that we notice those things and we recognize those things and we raise our children differently, and we are
for sure
always trying to be better parents than what
we had.
Our example.
Yeah, for sure. So I think just moving forward from that point, I was very aware of what was happening, and I started to kind of take note of all of the experiences that were like, oh, maybe that's not right, you know. And my dad's girlfriend, she was very physically abusive with us. She was very manipulative and mentally abusive. She would intentionally cook food that we didn't like and then force us to eat it. And that is actually when I was just before I turned 11, we were at their house and it was in the summer. And she had like the whole day had kind of been very weird for us. But she fixed something for dinner that she knew my brother didn't like. And she forced him to eat it. And he was like, mm-mm. And I don't know what it was about that moment. I don't know if something had happened prior in the day, but I don't know what it was about that moment. But my brother chose that moment to just kind of dig his heels in. And he was like, I'm not eating it. And I truly think my brother's mind was like, I will sit at this table till I die. I'm not eating that, you know.
I'll sit here till mom comes to get me.
Yes. Yeah. And so she sent him to his room. I don't know all of the things that transpired in the time frame there. But probably about an hour later, she told me to go get him and bring him into her so she could talk to him. And my brother's 4 years older than me.
Okay.
And so I went into his room and he was not there.
Oh.
And my first initial thought, which at the time I didn't think I just was like, oh yeah. My very first thought was, she hurt him and she wants me to find him, or, you know, like something traumatic has happened. She's done something. And so I told her he's not in there. And so then of course, you know, everybody's like freaking out. I had to go tell my dad. She wouldn't tell my dad that my brother was missing. I had to go tell him.
And he was what, 15?
Yeah. 'Cause I was 10. So he was like 14-ish. And, my dad left and he went looking for my brother and never did find my brother. And about probably an hour and a half later, my mom and my stepdad showed up at the front door of my dad's house with a sheriff's deputy and my brother.
Oh.
And my brother had jumped out of the window in his bedroom and he ran about 2 blocks barefoot to the sheriff's department. And he hid behind a counter and called my mom. And he said, oh, sorry.
It's okay.
He told them, you can't, if my dad comes, you can't tell him I'm here. He'll hurt me. And he called my mom, and my mom and my stepdad made it from Camdenton to St. Robert, Waynesville area in about 29 minutes, and it should take almost an hour.
Yeah.
They were flying because my mom knew if we were calling, something was wrong.
Yeah.
And so, that was the last time that we saw my dad. We were escorted out of his house. And in May of the following year, my dad committed suicide. And in that time period, his girlfriend, there were a bunch of things that had happened. His girlfriend had left with his best friend, moved to another state, took his other 2 kids. He did not have my brother and I anymore. And it was just like, looking back now, I can see the low where he was in his life.
Yeah.
And he was deep into addiction at that time. And I look back at pictures, like the last pictures that I have of my dad, in that time frame. And I think, man, like you could tell by looking at him that he was an addict, you know? And it's
What did he use?
He, everything, anything.
Gotcha.
Cocaine.
Anything, everything.
Yeah. Anything that he could get his hands on. We're pretty confident that he was probably using meth. We never saw that. We saw cocaine, we saw alcohol, and we saw marijuana were the things that we saw. But we're pretty confident that there were other things in the mix.
Of course.
But, you know, when my dad died, it kind of sent me into this tailspin of very complicated emotions because my initial thought when my mom told me, the very first thing that I thought was, it's over. Like, I don't have to live like that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then the guilt comes in. Like, you're not supposed to be happy when somebody dies.
Yeah.
And I truly, at my core, was because of everything that we had been through.
It was a relief.
Yes. Yeah. Like, we weren't even allowed to play outside if my parents weren't home. Like, when we got home from school, we had to go inside and lock the doors because my mom didn't know what my dad would do.
Yeah.
We had a standing order. I didn't know this until I was older. We had a standing order at school that if my dad showed up at school to get us, they were to immediately call the cops and not allow him to take us. And I didn't know that until I was older, you know? And like, as a mom, it breaks my heart to think that, like, I can't even imagine having those feelings about my own children and their safety. And I can't even imagine the turmoil that my mom went through as a mom, feeling those things, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I spent a lot of my like preteen and teen years just very confused. I had anger towards my mom at some points because I didn't understand how she couldn't protect us. Mm-hmm. Then I realized, you know, she didn't know. She can't protect us from something she doesn't know about, you know? And she was court mandated to let him see us. So if he came to get us, if he wanted to see us, she had to let him see us. And it was a lot of really confusing feelings of, I know I'm not supposed to be happy about this, but I am happy about this, you know? And I think that's kind of when I started struggling with anxiety, and I was missing school a lot as a high schooler because I would have these severe stomach aches and I would stay home from school, and I am confident it was anxiety. I know that that's what it was. And it was just trying to process all of those feelings. And
so you were 11?
I was 11.
Did you go to any service or anything?
Yeah, we went to a funeral, and I found out later in my life that he had moved to a different town at that point. He was living in Dixon in an apartment complex there. And there was a lady in his complex that he wanted to date, and she would not go on a date with him. And he told her, if you don't go on a date with me, I'm going to kill myself. And she was like, oh, Joe, you won't do that. And he did.
Wow.
And it just, like, my heart breaks for her.
Yeah.
You know? And I have thought about her from the moment I found out about that as a teenager. I think about her all the time. And I think, like, I hope she didn't carry that with her.
Yeah.
But how could you not?
How? Yeah. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's so, like, it's not my fault. It wasn't my fault. I didn't do anything.
Right. But how do you not hold on to that?
If I would have, maybe that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I wish I knew who she was. I wish that I could, like, make a connection with her somehow, but I don't have any clue who she was, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, we went to his funeral. We went to his burial. And I think being that young, I think I understood what was I know I understood what was going on because I was feeling like, okay, this is over. I don't have to do this anymore. But I don't think I truly grasped the concept of what had happened, you know, until I was much older. But yeah, we did. We went to his service. His girlfriend came back, and his other two kids went to the service also. They were toddlers. And
wow.
I remember them being in the car with us going to the burial site, and just, yeah. And it's just insane. And we actually lost contact with them for over 20 years. And we finally, their mom reached out to me on Facebook, and we got connected that way. And when it first happened, I was like, okay, she's she's changed, you know, like she's turned over a new leaf. And I found out very quickly that was not the case.
Dang.
Yeah. But I am so happy that we have a connection with our brother and sister now. And, you know, we talk to them, we see them on social media. And like, we're not as close to them as we could have been.
Of course.
But we see them and we're part of their lives, and we, you know, we talk to them and stuff. But I had to very quickly after that block her, because I was like, I have to protect myself. I can't put myself back in that same situation, you know? And I did find out from talking to them that she was still very abusive to them, throughout their childhood. And that also like makes me so sad for them, you know, because we got out of it and they didn't.
Yeah. Like every kiddo deserves to go to bed at night with a
feeling safe.
Mickey or Minnie Mouse and snuggly blankies and night lights and bedtime stories and all the wonderful things filled with love and safety.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. And that, honestly, when I first got hired in education, they asked me in my interview why I want to work in a school. And I said, because when my dad died, a school secretary hugged me in the office whenever we were leaving school. And she said, I don't want you to ever forget that you are so much more than whatever circumstance you're living in. And I have never forgotten that woman. And I told them, I was like, I want to be the person that makes that impact on someone else.
Yes.
And I love the job that I do. And I love getting to connect with kids. I've been in public education for 15 years.
Yeah.
And education is such a hard field to be in, but there is nothing like connecting with a kid who maybe needs that love, or just a kid who has that love at home, but they just need a smile that day for some reason, you know? And I love it. And I tell people all the time, like I walk down the hallway in preschool and I feel like a celebrity.
That's awesome.
And it's the best feeling in the world.
And to be that person that if they need somebody to hug or to talk to or to get a coat from during the winter time, that you know that you can be that somebody for them.
And I want to connect with the parents too and offer them some support, because I think that parenting is so isolating anyway.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're in a situation where you're struggling for whatever reason that might be, just knowing that there's a friendly face that is on your side and will help you, to me, that means so much to people. And I want to be that person. And I get to do that in my job as community outreach. I get to connect with parents in a way that maybe other people in the district don't get to. And I love that. I love that part of my job, just being able to be a friendly face. And I hope that people know, not just in school, you know, but I hope that in our district, I hope people know that they can come to me for those things. And it's going to be a judgment-free zone, you know? But then I also, like, I do parents as teachers in my job, and I get to talk to moms because I also, because of all that I went through, I have struggled with my own depression and anxiety. And it's hard. It's so hard. And from my perspective, like we went through a very traumatic experience at school a few years ago with our principal. And after that, she and I were very close. And after that, I went through a period of depression. And I went to my doctor and I was like, hey, I need help. And he was like, oh, I think you're going to be fine, and sent me home. And then I was like, oh, wait, am I failing grief? Like, I'm not okay. I should be better. He said, I'm going to be fine. Thankfully, I have a friend who is in medicine, and I reached out to her and she was like, come to my office Monday morning and we'll get this worked out. And so I had that person who was like, you know, and I had people in my life who were telling me, you're not okay, you need help. And I think that's so important to be that person. Those people
are important. It's hard to be that person, but we all need one.
Absolutely. Everybody needs that person. And it's hard to have that person, but it's hard to be that person too. To say. And I'm thankful that I had people in my life who said that to me, because there were nights that I was going to sleep and I was like, you know, I don't want to die, but if I don't wake up, that's okay with me too. And to think like, I have kids, you know? And to think that I was at that place, and it's so heartbreaking for me. But I'm so thankful that I had people who pushed me, who were saying, you're not okay, you need help. You need help. And I think for me, like you said, I want people to know that they can reach out to me. I would much rather take a call from you at 2 a.m. and talk you through something.
Yep.
Or come to your house at 8 p.m. because you need a friend.
Yep.
Than to go to your funeral.
100%. Even if I'm not your friend, I'll still come to your house in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a senior in high school yesterday, a young lady that came over and introduced herself to me and shook my hand and said, I love what you're doing with this girl power. Aww. I don't have a strong female figure in my life, and everything you guys are doing is really inspiring.
I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
So just to be able to take the stigma out of it, we're all, none of us are perfect. We're all crazy. We all have mental health. And if you don't, I don't believe you.
Right.
And we all need somebody to turn to.
Even if you just have moments of anxiety. There are moments in everyone's life where you feel anxiety.
They're hard.
It is. It's so hard. Yeah. And I think it's important to talk about it because I think like our generation and the generations before us, it wasn't something that we talked about. And especially for men. You're told to just suck it up and keep going. And that's such a dangerous.
You get two moods, good or mad.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that's not fair.
It's not. It's not. And it's so frustrating to me to see, like for me personally, the men in my life, my dad, my brother, my uncles, like all the people in my life. And I have seen them struggle through moments. And I have said, ask for help.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make you less of a man to ask for help. It's okay. It's okay. And for me, I respect people so much more when I know that they are taking that step to say, hey, I need help.
Yeah.
Because everyone needs help. At some point in your life, you need help with something.
And be honest about it. Yeah. My dad struggles with mental illness. And even when he went to his counselors, he lied to them.
Right.
Like, you're not okay.
Yeah.
Everybody knows you're not okay.
Yeah.
Deal with it. Talk about it. Yeah. Let's fix the not okay. Let's take steps into feeling better every day instead of just living in that space.
And I think my dad was dealing with bipolar disorder for sure. I know at one point he had been diagnosed with that.
Yeah.
And I think he thought he could fix it himself,
and drug and alcohol abuse just makes that bipolar swing even more.
And it goes hand in hand. You're more prone to that if you have bipolar disorder. And so, but he just didn't have the people in his life to hold him accountable for that. And I think, honestly, even if he had, he wouldn't have risen to that,
Yeah.
Like I've kind of come to that point in my life that I think like he made the choice that he made on his own. And all the choices to get there.
Yeah.
And that's been a hard thing for me. Like being a parent, I have moments now even where I struggle and I get really angry. And I have an incredible dad in my life. My mom remarried when I was 5, and he has been every bit my dad from the start.
Yeah.
And he has been at every important moment in my life. He was there when my kids were born. He was there when I got married. Like all of the things in my life, he was there for. But I still get angry that my dad chose to not be in those moments. And I struggle with that because coming from like I understand the mental health side of it. And I understand that it's a disease. And I understand that at that point, it was beyond his control to make that decision, but also as a human, it makes me so angry. It makes me so angry that for my entire life, he chose all of those things over us. And that's I think is the hardest thing that I struggle with now, is like, I feel like I've forgiven him.
Yeah.
But I still get.
And if you're not in your right mind, if you're mentally ill or if you're under the influence, those decisions that you're not making them with a clear head. So having anger towards him or frustration is, I think, perfectly normal. I would feel the same way, even though you understand that he wasn't exactly making that choice in his right head. Like if he would have been right-minded, would he have still have made that choice? Like what a struggle to go with back and forth.
And then too, I think sometimes now, like I've had moments where I think, I'm really glad that he's not here, because I think my life would have been so much harder.
Yeah. If
he would have been there through my high school years, my young adult years. And And then I feel guilty for thinking that. I go back to that same thing I felt right after he died.
Yeah.
Because that's a horrible thing to feel, that I'm happy that he's not around. But
the turmoil.
Yeah. And I get to present him to my kids. Like, they get to see pictures and hear the funny things.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have a lot of memories from my childhood with my dad. I don't. I think that I have blocked a lot of that out. But there are a few moments that stand out, and I get to share those with my kids. And they know the honest truth about who my dad was and what we went through. But they get to know that through my lens and not through actually knowing him.
Yeah. Yeah, just the lens that you want to show them, your slightly rose-colored glasses, so to speak. Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah. But I think I look back and as crazy as it sounds, like, I'm thankful for the experiences that I had, because I think it makes me a better, more compassionate human as an adult.
Yep.
And I can do the job that I do well because of the things that I've been through in my life.
Yeah.
And our team at school, they joke and make fun of me that I'm the empath of the group. And I'm like, I am. But
me too, girl.
You need me.
Yep. I agree. And if you've been through it, if you've been through something like that, you are more compassionate. You're not judging somebody. You are just there, open arms.
And I think it just gives you a different view of things. And my administrators are incredibly passionate people.
Yes.
They love and care for every single kid that we have in our building and all of their families, but they're not viewing the situations through the same lens that I'm viewing them through.
Yeah.
I can look at things and be like, okay, but what if, and it makes my superintendent says all the time, like, it makes us a great team because we all bring different things to the table. And there are times that I have really been strong-willed about something and gone to bat about something that I'm really passionate about. And they may never change their mind on it, but it offers them a different perspective. And every single time they do come back and say, we appreciate and value your input on this.
Good.
And we're not looking at it the same way that you are, but we appreciate having that viewpoint of it.
Yeah.
And so I think, like, as crazy as that sounds, I am thankful for the experiences that I've had, because it makes me a more compassionate person.
Yeah.
And it's, my mom has always said, if everybody hung their problems on a clothesline, we'd all go back to get our own because they're familiar.
Oh, wow. That's true.
And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I guess that's right.
That's true. Yeah. Or I would just stop doing laundry.
Or just ignore the clothesline.
Yep. We ain't wearing clothes no more. We're changing all the rules.
Yeah, we're moving to a new colony.
Oh, well, thank you so much for coming to the studio and telling your story.
Thank you for having me.
I hope that there are people out there that this resonates with.
Yes.
If you are struggling, if you need a friend, if you need an ear, if you need a hug, reach out. You are not alone. There are a lot of us here for you.
Yeah. People care.
Absolutely.
And I tell people all the time, you are so important and you are so valued simply because you exist.
Yes.
You're important just because you're here.
Yep.
Even if it doesn't feel like it.
And what makes you beautiful is all those quirky things that make you different.
Yes. Yeah. I don't want to be like everyone else.
No.
I like being weird.
Me too. My husband wouldn't know what to do if I was normal.
Yeah, mine wouldn't either.
No.
He gets frustrated with me, but he likes it.
Same. Sorry, honey.
I'm not.
No. Aleah's not sorry. She said you deserve it.
Sorry. Right.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much.
And
thank you for all of our viewers. Again, we are sponsored by June and Beyond, Tease, Covell, and Kim Breeden with Shelter Insurance. And we'll see you guys next week. This episode of Girl Power is brought to you by Covell, Flowers, Espresso, Bakery, and Gifts, Kim Breeden and the crew at Shelter Insurance, June and Beyond Women's Boutique, and Tease Custom Apparel. Thank you for being a proud sponsor of Girl Power.